y'all, it's Debbie with Tailored by Debbie. Today I'm going to show you how I make a stand-up gnome. First, we're going to use a pool noodle and we're going to cut off about 4 inches. Okay, so we've got about a 4-inch piece of pool noodle, and this is what we're going to use for the body. I'm just going to use a piece of fabric, and we are going to come here on the bottom of it, lay this down. And what we want to do, we want to leave a couple of probably 2.5 inches at the bottom, so we can tuck that up inside there so that the bottom of the gnome will be pretty. So I'm just going to take my scissors, get them ready. We're going to roll this over and see how far we need to cut it this way. You want to leave a little bit of an overlap. So I'm just going to cut down. Now on the other end, you just need a little bit to fold over the top of the gnome. The hat's going to cover the top, so you don't really have to worry about making sure you have enough to tuck down in and keep it from being seen. Okay, so now we're just going to take our hot glue, and I like to use a small hot glue gun with a small tip when I'm making gnomes, just because the detailing, it just makes the gnomes turn out a lot prettier if you don't have big globs of glue. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to first put some hot glue here on the edge and estimate about how long your pool noodle is. Okay, and then we're going to roll it, and then we're going to put hot glue on the top part here, just the length of the pool noodle. Okay, and then we're going to roll that over. And that gets that part of the fabric down. And then you can just take and squirt a little bit of glue up under that edge right here, just where the length of the pool noodle is for now, right along the edge. Okay. And then just roll that over. Okay, and that's going to make that seam lay nice and flat. Okay, now the longer end right here, that's what we want to tuck down inside this pool noodle. All right, you want to start with the piece of fabric that's on the inside. You see how this one kind of overlaps on the outside? You want to start gluing the piece that overlaps on the inside. And I just put a little bit of glue on the very end. And then I take that piece of fabric and I tuck it down into that hole. Okay, and you're going to do that all the way around. Okay, just press there until that dries a little bit, and then on this side we're just going to squirt some hot glue all around the fabric, and then we're going to press it down onto the pool noodle. And like I said, the hat is going to cover this side, so it's not as important for you to, get that perfect over here. You don't have to have that fabric where it's going down into this hole real neat or anything. Okay. Okay, now on this side, which is going to be our bottom, we're going to take a piece of felt, and I'm going to cut, or not cut, I'm going to mark around the pool noodle like so, so I know where to cut. Then we're going to cut this circle out. Okay, and it can be a little bit smaller than your fabric. It's okay if it is. You just want something, as like a bottom pad. Now, if you did not want to add legs, you could just use that as the bottom of your gnome. Okay, we're going to go ahead and just glue. I'm going to glue around the inner circle on that fabric first. Set this down, kind of press it down, and then I'm just going to lift up around the edges to glue that outer part. Felt, if you get hot glue on it, it will show. So I like to do it this way, where I don't get hot glue on the felt on this side where it would show, because then it looks messy, because I do sell my gnomes and I don't want them to have the hot glue, you know, ugly stuff. Okay, I'm just gonna glue it down there. All right, now to make the legs, what we're gonna use is wood dowels, and these wood dowels I buy at the Dollar Tree. I took the wood dowels and used my wire cutters and cut them down to 2 1/4 inches in length each. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is take an X-Acto knife. You're just going to cut a little X right there. Then you're going to squirt some hot glue down in there, and then you want to insert one of your wood dowels about halfway. So we want to look at it. If it's not halfway, you want to just push it down a little bit more. And y'all, these shoes that I'm going to be using, I bought at Dollar Tree in the baby section. They're party favor little toy gift things that you can buy at Dollar Tree. They come in, I think, packs of 6. And that's the shoes we're going to be using, but we're going to be covering them with some fabric. So we're going to put one here. And then we're going to come across to the other side and cut another slit. And you want to kind of make sure you're in the center, you know, from here to here. You want to make sure you're in the center of that pool noodle. And then we're going to, where's that slit? Right there. We're going to squirt some hot glue down in there. And then we're going to stick this one down in there. And you want to get it about the same height as the other one that you did. Okay, so you can kind of turn it over and just tap it a little bit until you have both of your wood pegs spaced across from each other into the pool noodle. You're also going to need 2 1/4 inch nylon lock nuts that fit the dowel rods that you buy at the Dollar Tree perfectly. Okay, now for the shoes, to cover the shoes, what I like to do is cut a couple rectangles of felt using the same color that we use for the bottom of the gnome. You want to cut the pieces of felt just a little bit larger than the bottom of your shoes. Okay, so we're going to turn these over. And we want to add a little bit of weight to the toes of these shoes. You see how it's hollowed out there? So I take another one of these little nuts, or whatever you want to call it, because they have a significant amount of weight, y'all. So I'm going to put one in each shoe here. Just going to put some glue, and then I'm going to drop it in there. It's just for weight. It'll help keep the gnome from tipping over. So I'm just going to stick that down in there. I do like to kind of lay them flat so it won't interfere with the bottom of my shoes. Okay, once I've done that, I like to use poly beads, and the poly beads that I ordered are in my Amazon shop in the link in the description box. But you're just going to take some of these poly beads and you're going to fill up the rest of the bottom of the shoe. If you don't have poly beads, you could use small pebbles. I wouldn't suggest using food products if you're going to have them where there might be rodents or things. I don't like to use food in my gnomes. But I just kind of fill that shoe up. And then I'm going to put hot glue around the edge right here. And then on the footbed. Okay. Then you're going to take your piece of felt. You want to make sure you kind of have it centered. And you're going to press it on there and turn it over. And then mash it down so it glues on there. All right, we're going to do the same thing with this one. Okay, now we'll take this one we did a minute ago here, and I'm just going to kind of round off these corners, and then we're going to put hot glue on the edge of this and just fold it up. Okay, so there's one. We're going to do the same thing with our second shoe. Just make sure that's pressed on there well. Okay, next we're going to take 2 more of these nuts. All right, and you want rounded side up, and you want to take a generous amount of glue and glue one of them. You want to press it down, making sure you're not pressing really hard where you push the dowel down further into the pool noodle, but you do want to, you know, kind of press it down to make sure it's good and secure. Look at it and try to make sure it's level. Okay, and then you're going to do the same thing with the other one. Okay, you want to make sure they're level and those look good. We're going to set that aside to dry. Now we're going to cover our shoes. What I like to use a lot of times is this faux leather, and you can buy this at Walmart in the fabric section, and I usually buy like a 1/4 of a yard or 1/8 of a yard because a little bit of this stuff goes a long way. The best way I found to do this is to start gluing with the toe, and you want to glue like this. Okay, you want to kind of make sure your shoe's upside down. You want to make sure that your toe is kind of in the center of the back side of your faux leather. Okay, we're going to put a dot of hot glue right there. And then we're going to take our toe and we're going to set it right there. And you want it to be glued on here in a way that that is flush, so that, in other words, so that the leather is not coming down farther than the bottom of the shoe. You want to glue it right exactly at the bottom. Okay, once you have your center figured out, when you're gluing too, don't put the glue way on the edge. Leave a little bit of space, because if not, that hot glue can seep out, and just use a thin bead. You can always add more if you need to. Okay, and then I'm just going to take this, looking at where the bottom of my shoe is, and I'm just rolling it across that shoe. Okay, so that's how we cover. You can see a little bit of hot glue seeped out right there. We can just pick that off after it dries. But see how neat that looks, y'all? Okay, and then we're going to take the other piece and pull it over, and y'all, this is cut approximately 5.5 inches by 2 inches. That's the measurement. And if you want to, you know, make sure you have enough on the back, I like to have it really tight, but if you want to make sure you have enough, you could do 5 3/4 and then just cut off the excess. But we're going to go ahead and do this again. I'm going to put a little bead of glue, not right on the very edge, but pretty close. Okay, and then I'm just going to take this and carefully pull it down and around. And on this back, I'm going to have to stretch it just a little bit to get it on over here. And there we go. All right. It's going to overlap just the teeniest little bit on the back. But you want to do that bottom part first. Trust me, it's so much easier, y'all. Okay, once you have that done, we're going to set it aside and let that dry just a minute. And we're going to do the other one the same way. Okay, back over here to this one. The first one we did, we want to take and glue one side down on the back of the shoe. So you're just going to put glue up about as high as the shoe is. And again, I put that glue over just a little bit, because when you mash like that, it's going to push that glue on over to the edge. And that one kind of went at a slant, and that's good because I want it to get up underneath this. This one I'll pull straight up. So we're just going to put some glue back here again, about the height of the shoe. And then we're going to take this and pull it straight up and mash it down right there. And that covers the back of your shoe, and you can hardly even see the seam, y'all. It really does a good job. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put glue back here up to the top. Just kind of mash that together. And then I'm going to cut with my scissors. I'm going to cut this uneven piece off. Just kind of even that up a little bit so it'll make it easier when we're tucking all that down in to glue it. All right, let's do this one. All right, now the next thing you're going to do, the front part of the shoe right here, we're going to put some hot glue. Get another glue stick. We're going to need it here in a second. You're going to put some hot glue down here on the plastic part of the shoe on the front, on the top. And then you're going to take your finger and you're going to mash in the center. You want to mold, mash and pull it up. You want to mold this material, this faux leather material, to the top of that shoe. Okay? And it looks wonky. It's okay. I got a plan, y'all, I promise. All right, we're going to set that one aside. We're going to do the same thing. All right, so now we're going to take these and fold them over. Each side, you want to just take it, kind of push it in like that, fold it over, and then you want to go under here and just put right in that crease a little bit of glue and then mash it over. You don't want to put too much, y'all, because that hot glue will come out. You're going to need to hold it and see right there where it came out. But on this, one reason I like using this faux leather is you can just peel it off. Okay, if it does that, you can just peel it off. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, right down in that crease. Just squirt a little bit of glue, and then you're going to fold it over and hold it. Okay, just like that. Let's do it with the other one. Now, I want about 1/4 of an inch above the shoe or so. I'm just going to cut a little bit of that off. If y'all can kind of see, a little more than 1/4 of an inch. Then we're going to come up underneath this front part, and we're going to glue on the bottom side, and then we're going to push that down into the shoe. Doing this will also help this folded part, this folded over part, glue down better too. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Make sure you have your finger protectors on, y'all, because it is hot. I can feel it even with the silicone protector on. Okay, let's do this one. Okay, then we're going to put some more glue up under all the way around, and we're going to fold all that down into the shoe. Okay. All right, there's one done. Let's finish up this one. Okay, so we got our shoes done now. Now what we're going to do, and the shoes are weighted down because of the poly beads and the little nut that we put in the front of the shoe, so that's going to help hold our little gnome body up. So the next thing we're going to do, get the hot glue strings off, is we're going to put some glue. We want to find the back seam. There it is. It's kind of hard to tell when you use a busy fabric like this. It's hard to tell where the seam is. You want to make sure that's in the back, and then you're going to set, kind of dry fit your little feet, and you're going to see if any of the dowel is showing, and it looks like we do have a little bit of the dowel showing. Since we do have a little bit showing there, I'm going to go ahead and cover the wood dowel, and it will make it look like it's a sock, okay, or some pants or something like that. he'll have just a short little sock in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take just some little scraps of fabric. I'm gonna fold over one edge, just fold it over so we have a nice clean edge. All right, there's that one, y'all. Let's do this one. All right, the bottom part's gonna be inside the shoe, so it's not gonna show. So I'm basically just gonna glue this around that dowel. Okay, so it will cover, and I'm gonna do this one first. It'll cover that wood dowel and make it look like he's got socks or something like that on up under here. Okay, so you're gonna go all the way up to where that wood dowel is, and you just wanna wrap it around. And y'all, we don't even really need this much. Okay. Just gonna wrap it around there. It's gonna make it look like he's got some little scrunchy socks or something up under there. Okay, and then just press that last little piece down. That's so funny. He's got little bird legs, y'all. Okay, do the same thing over here. All right, so now we have that on there, a little fabric. So we're gonna find the seam again. That's the back of the gnome where the seam is. So you wanna set your shoes up how you want them to be, okay? And then we're gonna put glue. You wanna put a generous amount of glue on each side. And then you're gonna turn this over, and you want to try to make sure you sit this down to where the dowel is in the center of each of the shoes. Okay, and then just press down and hold. I would say you want to hold about 30 seconds or so to make sure this sits in there really well. Look at it from the side, make sure you're, centered front and back. Kind of turn it around, press down. But y'all, now look, you can't really even see those little legs, but there was a little gap there, so I did want to put the, so here's the back. So stinking cute. Okay, next we're gonna make the beard. And I like to buy, I'll lay it like this so y'all can see it. I like to buy fur when it's on sale at Hobby Lobby, like this piece I got for 69 cents. When they were clearing it out. So always, every time you go to Hobby Lobby, I always go and look at the fur. To measure the beard, I usually like to take the other piece of pool noodle and just kind of, I want to start from the bottom where I have that overhang of fur. Okay, so I'm going to take this pool noodle and kind of figure out, I don't want it to go all the way around. I want to leave a little less than half on the back. Okay, so I do want the beard to come around a little bit. So I just kind of eyeball it, and I use an X-Acto knife, and we're only going to cut the backing. And I'm just going to cut straight down about how long I think I want the beard to be. Okay, then I'm going to take my little gnome and see if I put that at the top. I want it to come almost to the bottom of where his fabric is, and then you're just going to cut straight across. And if it's not cutting the backing easily, you may need to change your X-Acto knife blade. I like to cut less rather than more, and then just kind of pull it. If you cut through the whole thing, you're not going to have the fur overhang when you're cutting it. So just kind of scrape it across and then pull it and just drag it across like that. Okay, now because I don't want just a rectangle, I'm going to take each corner and just kind of cut it down in a triangular shape. okay, on each side. Okay, it's not a perfect triangle. I do have a little square part at the bottom, but when you put it on the gnome, it's not really gonna, you're not gonna be able to tell. Okay, so now we have our beard. We're gonna go ahead and glue this fur. Okay, I want that fur to come, the fur backing, the way I'm gonna glue this, it's gonna be just a little bit above, and I need a little bit of area at the top to glue the hat on, so I'm not gonna go all the way to the top with it either. So I'm gonna glue it about right here. And one easy way to do it is once you've kind of figured out where your seam is, where your shoes are, you kind of want that center of the beard in the middle of the shoes, so you can kind of guide from that too. Looks like we're pretty good there. Just take the top and fold it over, put a little bit of glue there, lay it down. Do the same thing over here. Make sure you're kind of looking to make sure it's even at the top. Lay that down, kind of hold it there. Then you can take and fold. I like to secure the beard down all the way. You can also put your seam in the front, and then the beard will hide that seam too. I've done that before as well. But this one just has such good camouflage because of the pattern. But if you're using a material that does not have a busy pattern like this, I recommend putting your seam in the front where you're going to put your beard. So put, you know, your shoes on with the seam in the front, and then cut a long beard and it'll cover up that seam. All right. So now we have our little beard on our gnome. And the next thing we're going to do is attach a nose. And I like to use the half wood beads. And again, all the supplies that I'm using are in my, most of them are in the Amazon. If things I bought from Amazon are in my Amazon storefront. And there's a link in the description of the video. So what we want to do is we want to take this comb, kind of find the center of the beard. You kind of look where your shoes are. You want to spread this apart, kind of part it. You want to get down to the backing of the fur. And what I like to do is glue the nose on about 3/4 of the way on the fur and just a little bit up here on the material. And I'm going to put the glue on the back of my wood bead, and I'm not going all the way to the edge, y'all, because hot glue on beards is not pretty either. Okay, so you're just gonna own it, make sure it's where you want it to be, and press it down and hold it there. Okay, now look how cute. He's got a personality, doesn't he? All right, the last thing we're gonna do is make his hat. And for the hats, I like to use fleece or flannel. Fleece is the best because fleece has some stretch to it. And the hats, if you don't have a little bit of stretch to it, they're a lot harder to make. And I'm just going to take this, wrap it around my pool noodle, and I want to leave a couple of inches extra overhang here. Okay, so we're just going to cut out kind of a big square. And how big is depending on how high you want your hat to go. Now this will be the bottom of the hat, this right here. And I probably want my hat to go up about this high. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches is what I'm doing. Let's see if that's kind of an 8-inch square-ish. And I'm not too worried about it being exact, y'all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It kind of is. All right. And don't worry about that edge. What you're going to do is you're going to fold it over. You do want to have the brim of your hat, the bottom, you want that to be good and straight. The other part, it does not matter. So now we're going to cut from this corner going up this way. Okay. And I left just a little bit at the bottom there, not slanted. Okay, now what we're gonna do, there's two different sides to the fleece. You can decide if you want the flat side or kind of the furry side. I like the furry side to be the hat, so I'm going to put that, you want the right side on the inside. And we're gonna do this one no sew, because I know some of you guys don't have sewing machines. You can use fabric glue if you have it, but I just use the same hot glue, y'all, when I'm doing it this way. Okay, you just put a bead of glue down one edge, and then you want to take this one and fold it over. I just got, the hot glue got me. You can use the finger protectors, but you just want to kind of take it, mash it well together. We're going to be turning this right side out in just a minute, so we're going to let that dry. You do want to give this time to when you touch it, it doesn't feel warm, because if not, if you turn it too soon, there'll be holes. Make sure you do use a solid bead of glue so there won't be holes. If there are, you can fill them in. All right, I find it helps if you have, you know, something to poke it through with. The tip here, just be careful you don't poke it and, you know, make a hole. You can kind of just take it and roll it in your fingers. All right, now where that seam is where you want that to be the back of your hat. Okay, and the back of your hat is going to go down a little lower than the front. See how that does? All right, what you want to do, you want to cut that pointy little tip off right there, so that the back of the hat, and we're just going to cut that little tip off, so the back of the hat looks nice and flat like that on the back. Okay, then we're going to dry fit the hat, make sure it fits before we start gluing or stuffing it, and it does, y'all. So you're just going to add a couple of inches when you wrap that fabric around the pool noodle. Add a couple of inches, and that'll give you room to have it be just a little bigger, so you can pull it down over his nose. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take it back off, because it fits, it looks cute. I love the way it looks. So we're going to take some polyfill, and you can buy bags of polyfill at Walmart, but y'all, the best thing to do is to buy their like $3 or $4 pillows, and just cut them open and take the polyfill out of those. It's cheaper than buying the bags of polyfill. That's what I do. Or if I have old pillows that I'm throwing away, I'll cut those open and you know, use the polyfill. I found if you take the polyfill and put it in there in, you know, little groups like this, instead of just cramming a bunch up in there, that it does a better job stuffing the hat. It looks more even. You do want to kind of stuff it tight so that it's going to stand up, and you know, you want to kind of shape it as you're going so there's no lumps. You can stuff it as full or, you know, loose as you want it to your liking. And then once you have it the way you want it, what I do is I take and put a little bead of glue across the tip of his nose. Got some hot glue strings over here. Get your hat ready, lay it down with the center of the back in the back. Okay, and I just kind of lay it right here in front. We're going to put a bead of hot glue just across the tip of the nose to start. Okay, then you want to take this part of the hat, you're the center in the front, make sure you pull it down a little lower than the nose, and then just press that down where your glue was on the top of that nose. That way the glue does not seep down onto your nose, and it looks good. Okay, hold that there for just a few seconds. Y'all, we're almost done. Then you're going to flip him over on the back. And the next place I glue, go ahead and pull the hat on the way I want it to look. Make sure you pulled it down enough to cover up that seam where your fur was at the top. Okay, then you're going to take him over here, flip up this bottom back part, and that's what I glue next. And again, you know how I do. I don't go all the way to the edge I kind of come down just a little bit like that, and then I just flip that down and press it. Okay, that way there's no seepage of glue coming down out underneath that hat. You can always fold that up, add a little more glue, and put it down. But you can't take glue away once it gets all over your fabric, and it will show on this fleece too, y'all. Okay, now once we have that part done and the nose done, I like to come here to the front and pull this fur back, this hat part back, and glue right there at the very tip of where my beard is. And again, I want to pull this up and over that glue and then mash it down. That way you won't get any glue on your hat. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing on this side. Pull it up and back. Make sure all your fur is laying down flat, like so. Got a little bit more right there. Get that fur laying down. And then I put some glue right there on the very edge of where that fur is. Then you're going to pick this up, pick it up and over, and then press it down. And that makes your hats look so neat, y'all. No glue seepage. Then you can take this last little section on each side and just stick your hot glue gun up under here and squirt a little bit of glue. Again, not right along the edge, but up in there just a little bit, and then press it down. And now that's good and secure all the way around. Once we do this side, and this side it feels like we went up higher. There's just a little teeny tiny spot where there's no glue. I like to make sure the hat's secure all the way around though, so that the ugly innards of the gnome don't show. Okay, guys? And that's it. That's our cute little gnome with shoes. He stands up. He's good and secure because of the weight that we put in the shoes. I hope y'all give this a try. And if you do, tag me in a photo. Please subscribe to my channel, click the bell so you won't miss new videos, and leave me a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day.